rarely stay contained once more countries get involved. When attacks reach nations...
Some of the things, they might be technical.
We're charging you.
Israel has conducted operations in targeting Iranian military.
They have influence over who gets nominated as mayoral candidates.
And in that show, he called some of the MPs, well, in fact, not even some, he called and referred to the MPs as crooks. What if your fuel price has already been decided, just not in South Africa? And what if the pressure you feel at grocery stores, petrol stations, and in your monthly budget is being shaped by a war that you're not part of? Hello and welcome to What If cAfrica. I'm your host, Busisiwe, and this is the show that keeps you up to date with the world's current affairs. We explore global events through one powerful question: what if? Today, we'll be exploring a story that has already affected many South Africans in real time. Rising oil prices, a weakened rand, and a warning from the National Treasury that there may be little room to protect the economy from what comes next. Today, we ask, what if South Africa cannot absorb the next fuel price shock? Now, let's get into the global trigger of it all. To understand what is happening at home, we begin globally in the Middle East, the region that plays a critical role in supplying the world with oil. Right now, tensions there are escalating. There have been attacks on key energy facilities, disruptions to supply routes, and growing uncertainty in global markets. When oil supply becomes uncertain, prices rise, and that is exactly what we are seeing. Oil prices climbing sharply as markets react. But this is not just about oil. It is about how connected we are as the world. When oil prices rise globally, every country that depends on imports begins to feel that pressure, which raises our first question. What if the real impact of this war is not just military, but economic? Let's bring it home. South Africa imports most of its fuel, which means that when global prices rise, the country pays more immediately. And that cost doesn't stay in the system. It moves from global markets to local fuel prices and to everyday consumers. Reports are already warning of a significant fuel price increase. At the same time, the National Treasury has signaled something critical: that there is very little room to caution for the shock. That means limited intervention, limited relief, and more pressure on households. So we have to ask, what if this time there is no buffer between global shocks and everyday South Africans? Let's begin by considering the rand factor. The story doesn't just end with oil. The rand is also weakening. It has breached around 17 rand to the US dollar. And this matters. And this matters because the oil is priced in dollars. So when rand weakens, South Africa pays even more for the same oil. This creates a double impact: higher global oil prices and a weaker currency. That means higher costs across the board: fuel, transport, goods, and daily living. So the question becomes, what if the real crisis is not one pressure, but multiple pressures hitting at the same time? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we break down the cost of daily living. Remember, if you want more of this content, you can visit our website at www.cAfrica.tv to purchase our cAfrica TV stick for just $999 once off, unlimited access, and no subscription. Let's take a break. When we come back, we ask, what if? What if the real impact of fuel prices is not at the pump, but in your everyday lifestyle?
Built for Africa, designed for the world, revolutionizing how Africa watches television. Stream smarter, play harder, pay nothing. Access live African channels, global apps, radio and games instantly. 4K Ultra HD, a voice remote, Bluetooth game controller, and no monthly fees. Over 1,000 free movies and documentaries, African stories front and center. Whether you're vibing to radio, binging shows, or gaming with friends, the cAfrica TV Stick brings it home. Powerful performance, massive storage, works with any HDMI television.
Surprise!
Cut the costs, not the experience. The cAfrica TV Stick is here.
Welcome back. We are still talking all things fuel prices rising, inflation, and the cost of daily living. And we're still exploring this global event that is happening in the Middle East through one powerful question, that is, what if? So let's get into it. The fuel prices do not exist in isolation. They affect everything. Transport costs rise, businesses pay more to move goods, food prices increase, and taxi fares also go up. Delivery costs also rise at the same time. Even if you're not driving, you're still paying in ways that are not always obvious. And these costs rise, inflation begins to build. And as these costs rise, inflation builds, which raises another important question. What if the real impact of fuel prices is not at the pump, but in your everyday lifestyle? Let's talk about the economic balancing act. Now, here is where things become complex. Rising oil prices create pressure, but they can also create opportunity. South African exports commodities, and in some cases, higher global prices can support revenue. But the benefit does not always reach households. Government revenue may improve, but everyday people are still facing the costs at hand. This creates a gap between what the economy shows on paper and what people experience in real life. So we ask, what if economic stability doesn't always mean financial relief? I want to leave you with a bigger picture. This is not only just about a South African story. Around the world, countries are watching oil markets closely because energy prices influence everything: trade, inflation, growth, and stability. When oil prices rise globally, economies adjust. And when many economies adjust at once, the impact becomes global. So the question becomes, what if the global conflict is one of the biggest drivers of economic change today? Another thing that we do need to rope in is definitely the African perspective of it all. For Africa, this moment is critical. Many countries on the continent rely on imported fuel, which means that they face similar pressures. At the same time, Africa is growing economically, digitally, and structurally. But growth also comes with the vulnerability, especially when it comes to global shock. So the question becomes bigger than South Africa. What if Africa's greatest challenge is not growth, but resilience? On this episode, we explored a developing story: global conflict, rising oil prices, a weakened rand, and a warning that there may be limited room to absorb this impact. Beyond the headlines, there is something deeper, a reminder that the world is connected and that the events of one region can shape the realities of another. Which brings us back to the question that defines the show. What if the real cost of global conflict is not measured in politics or power, but in everyday life? Please do comment down below how this war and these inflation prices have affected your daily life. Are you experiencing that you're paying more for your fuel, your groceries, Or are you stretched out in your monthly budget? But before I go, I do want to advise, if you want more of this kind of content, please do reach out to our website at www.cAfrica.tv to purchase our cAfrica TV stick just for $999, no subscriptions, and unlimited access to a world of content. So until next time, stay safe, stay connected, and keep asking, what if? Really stay contained once more countries get involved. When attacks reach
Some of the
nations,
things, they might be technical.
We're
So we
charging
cannot-
you.
Israel has conducted operations in targeting Iranian
They
military.
have little influence over who gets nominated as mayoral candidates.
And in that show, he called some of the MPs, in fact, not even some, he called and referred to the MPs as crooks.